Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I am glad that you have made the connection and are with us today. I'm Laurie Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us chatting, get us imagining, get us connected, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we made the connection. So today we're talking about all sorts of good stuff, but the big topic is kind of art in living. How are we designing the way that we live? And where we live and where we play is what I'm going to be focusing on today. And I have a very good friend who's going to be sharing that with us. Her name is Sunny Jean Mueller. She is a design project manager for Nilles Builders, but she's much, much more and has all sorts of cool things to share with us today about art in living. So, Sunny, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, I'm delighted to be here. Hi, everybody.
Well, I'm fascinated with the work, and you know I have been for quite some time, with the work that you do. I know you work with Nilles Builders right now. And Nilles focuses on looking at old, buildings to preserve and old homes. And some of the homes that I've seen you work on are kind of the old, how would you describe them? Some of the older South Minneapolis and St. Paul. What are those homes called that are built like in the 40s and 50s?
Well, I always talk about the farmhouses.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. Because a lot of the homes were a bit smaller, and the older ones especially were more farmhouse style. The 1800s, I love working on homes from the 1800s. So many nooks and crannies and things to discover, and inside the homes, little separate rooms, special little areas.
Root cellars. Do you still find some of them have the old root cellars that are attached to them that have the places that people stored their farm goods?
Well, I haven't really actually. Generally, they have been dug out and made into a full cellar. So
right.
Everybody wants a full basement.
Yes. Well, my imagination runs wild during, especially during COVID, and being home a lot. I believe that my audience as well has had a chance to sort of, be up close and personal with our home in ways that we didn't imagine that we would be. And you start seeing things, but I don't have a good eye for design. I mean, I love it when I see it done, but I don't have the imagination to see what things could be. I just know this doesn't look right, or this is old. I do have a farm and a farmhouse, but my farmhouse is from the late 70s, early 80s. So it has, some of those challenges that weren't so much fun back in the 70s and 80s. But how do you, first, are you working with a lot of folks that got COVID crazy and wanted to do something with their home? And has that been, have you found a trend in that area?
Most definitely. The longer people were stuck at home, the more they felt like they were living in too small of a space. So a lot of people have been looking for ways to expand and add on to their home. It's been really hard to actually go and move because homes are so expensive now that it's more practical to add an addition, to expand out from your house. The art of living comfortably is what I call it.
I love it.
Keeping what is comfortable to you and then making it better. Yeah.
So when you get to know someone, I mean, it seems like you personalize. It's not just like, well, here's an idea and we'll just tag on a deck. I mean, you integrate it with the home and you integrate it with the person and their personality. Tell me about that process.
Well, that process for me is always listening. When I go and visit folks, I may not present a big idea. At first, I want to listen to them. I want to get a tour of their place, meet their kids, their pets, walk around the yard, just get a general feel for them in particular. And there is no right or wrong in design. So any ideas that they have, that's what I want to hear, because that's what I'm going to run with, and I'll probably go home and really sit and think about it. I want to make sure that it's practical for them, whatever the idea is that they're excited about, and also brings them added satisfaction for a lifetime. Sometimes we get excited about an idea, and then we create that idea, but it's just a temporary excitement.
Yeah, and not practical, right? So what are some of the ideas that have been brought to you that sounded exciting, and then you make some adaptions? And what were the adaptions that you made that helped them work through? Because a lot of what you do, I think, is really helping to solve a problem. People have a problem. I mean, they want more space, or this isn't working. So you look, and they may have come up with, well, here's the solution, but the solution may not work.
Yeah, or given a little leeway on my end, I can come up with something even better. I may not, generally, I won't throw out the idea. I will just develop on it and make it better. So let's see. I'm working on an addition, and it's for a couple who they have 2 kids and a very small house. So they wanted to add an addition onto the front, and I think in the beginning it kind of morphed. I suggested that they put in a deck underneath. They had a patio in the front of their house, very, very small area, and they wanted to add this addition also in the front of the house. Have a fireplace, have some built-in bookcases, and I saw that there was an opportunity to kind of play up the front a little bit more and create a little bit of a deck area underneath the overhang roof next to the addition, if you can picture that at all. It might be hard.
Sure. No, what I hear you say is that there's an addition you put on the house, but instead of putting it on for the full front of the house, you created a way so that there was an addition to the house, plus beside it an additional deck that gave them some outdoor living space too.
Yeah. And also it just makes for a cuter front of their house. The appearance is adorable. And they love sitting out. They loved sitting out on their patio, so they really didn't want to lose that aspect either. So we just made it a little larger and more expansive, and also comfortable with having that roof come over their head so they can sit out there, rain or shine.
Nice.
It doesn't matter.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when folks come to you and they're interested in doing something, and how long does it usually take you to create ideas for them to consider?
It depends on how many options they want.
Sure.
Yeah, sometimes if it's a remodel of a kitchen, let's say it's a remodel of the kitchen, there are folks that they know exactly what they want. They send me pictures of what they're hoping for, and we just sort of match that. But then there are others who want some creativity. They want to see some options. They want to see things shifted around so they can decide what they like best. And that takes a little time. So I work pretty fast because once I'm in the mode, I can't stop. I love it so much. So you'll find me at the computer at strange hours, because suddenly I will just be in the mood to work, and I'll work all through the weekends. I'll work in the evenings. I'll work early mornings. It just doesn't matter, because for me, I enjoy it. It's not a difficult job at all. It's fun.
I have a question for you in terms of, some people might think, I need to get an architect, and so I need to get an architect to do this. What would you say the difference is between an architect and a design project manager, the work that you do?
The difference would be in the complexity of the build. An architect is licensed, and they can do a really complex project. I am someone who does a more simple project. Mm-hmm. Additions and garages and spatial development inside an existing home, that's something I'm really good at. So that would be a big difference right there.
So if someone said, so what is a design project manager? What would you tell them?
I would say that we handle helping the homeowner pick out what type and style of window they would like. We handle all the little tiny details and walk our clients through. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of difference between a design architect and architectural designer, except that I'm not going to do real intense, detailed construction drawings.
So if someone's looking around their house and they're going, I'd like to redesign it, a design project manager would be an assistant that could look at, all right, here's some woodworking things that you might want to consider inside your house. Here's some, I think it looks like your roofing probably could use some help. And that would be good, because we also have to do, if we want to, expand in this area, but sort of an advisor, instead of starting from scratch with an architect. It sounds like you help work with what you have.
Exactly.
and take it to the next level in terms of livability versus starting from scratch or doing some massive design. So I think, in my opinion, that's a really cool thing to have be provided during this end of COVID, as we're coming out going, okay, I've lived in this space, now I want it redesigned. And these are the things that I'd like to have it be redesigned too. And we're at the end of this segment, but next segment, I'd like to learn a little bit more about how you ended up being a project designer. We kidded before the show that you didn't necessarily grow up thinking this is what you're going to be. So I always think it's interesting to hear an artist's path and where you started and what you're doing now and what gives you passion, as well as eventually hear a little bit about design and art of living when it comes to tango dancing. So stay with us. We'll be right back after just a few announcements that support our AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I'm Laurie Fitz, your host, and today we have Sunny Jean Mueller, who is a design project manager for Nilles Builders. If you're interested in learning more about Nilles Builders, you can go to nillesbuilders.com, and that's spelled Nilles builders.com. And if you do go there, they have a cool project that you can take a look at that is a renovation project that they did. It was a remodel of Lake of the Isles. You can kind of get a sense of this historic old home and what they did in changing it up and giving it a little facelift. And our friend Sunny here, she does project design. She helps go into homes and help you work out what might be a good addition, how you might want to change things up. And as she shared with us in our first segment, sometimes in COVID, we've all felt a little cooped up and we need a little bit more space. Well, she helps find where are ways that it can expand to support not only a bigger home, but something that supports our lifestyle. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the art of living. Sunny, you didn't start out just thinking when you were a little girl, I want to be a project home designer. What did you think about? And how did you, and I want to hear about your story of what you started thinking you were going to do and how you ended up supporting home design.
Well, it's been such a journey for me. I have to tell you, I never thought that I would be doing this. Originally, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I was sewing weird outfits and wearing weird clothes. And it kind of morphed when I went to college. That's when I realized, well, if I want to have a job that has anything to do with designing, what can I do? I fell into commercial art. In college, I was running it was a very small printing press, but I had a part-time job and I printed out papers for some of the buildings and some of the professors that needed the stuff printed out. And that changed and developed my interest in just advertising of itself. So pretty much I knew what I wanted to do when I was a sophomore in college. And I was really focused, and it was really hard for me to stay in college. I wanted to work. I wanted to be out there in the real world and be creating stuff.
And was at that point you were looking at graphic design?
Yeah, absolutely. I had big ideals back then. I thought, boy, I could work for a big agency and maybe do some TV advertising. Well, when you're young, you just think you can do anything.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I had these big ideals, and I was lucky enough to get on board. I lived in Nashville for a while, and I worked at a large advertising agency for my first job as just a production artist, and then eventually moved to Minnesota and got several jobs as an artist, and mostly doing print advertising and a lot of catalog work. So that is my big background in design.
And then how did you decide to move towards working, with homes? I mean, I can see design is all about solving problems and creating something attractive.
Yeah.
And so I can see the allure of of designing something attractive for living. But how did you end up with that job? How did you end up moving into the home design work?
This is really interesting. In my past as an art director, I handled a lot of photography, so there was a lot of details in putting together room sets.
Oh, sure.
Finding flooring and furniture and how the walls and the windows and the curtains, all of that are going to appear in the picture.
Sure, you were designing the set way back then, and so I can see now where the home becomes a very large set for you to look at.
Yes. So I had originally hired Nilles Builders to work on a house I purchased, and it was a slumlord's delight. I mean,
my gosh.
The house had to be gutted. It needed everything done to it. And so I got to know all the guys that worked for Nilles, and a lot of them became good friends of mine. Well, they were working on my house for 2 years.
Oh, my gosh.
So that was a long time. But in that process, they were so darling, I have to say. They just automatically let me be the project manager of my own house. And they said that it was very unusual for homeowners to take on all those responsibilities, and normally it's kind of stressful for people because it's a lot of money you're putting in to any kind of remodel or renovation. But I loved it, and I loved working with the guys. And so when they suggested that I come work for them, at first I put them off. I was like, well, you know, I was kind of doubtful. And then I realized, you know, if I don't get to do this every day, now that everything is done at my place, back then I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be sad because I looked forward to that. I loved the whole process. You know, I knew a little bit about building codes, and I knew a little bit about everything. Mm-hmm. But the idea that I would not get to develop any more ideas was crushing to me. So I decided, I got to work for those guys.
And how was it when you first started working with people? Because it seems to me that you enjoy finding the right solution for people. You know, it's not just enough to be creative. It's not like, as you said in the first segment, it's not like you come and tell them the big idea. You do like to co-create the idea. You do like to make sure that they have ownership in the idea as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the end, it is all theirs. And I really, sometimes folks will say, well, what's the best way to do it? Or, you know, do you recommend a specific light fixture? I am not a snooty person, okay? Uh-huh. And every idea is a good idea to me. It just needs to be developed one way or another. And the only thing that I don't like doing is sending a homeowner to a Home Depot and having them pick out all their stuff there. No.
Well, it's overwhelming. I mean, if you've not done this before, a Menards or Home Depot just, you know, can be anxiety producing because it's hard to evaluate, and it's so much easier when you're presented choices versus, you know, going into a sea of things that you just don't know how to discriminate one idea from the next.
Yes. A sea of tile.
Yes, exactly. Well, Sunny, my friend, we're closing out this first segment. I want to let folks know that if you're interested in doing this kind of work and kind of co-creating projects, Nilles Builders is a good place to contact. You can learn about the work that they do at nillesbuilders.com. That's NILLES builders.com. Or you can look them up or go to that website and find out their phone number. I'll give you your phone number, but don't write it down if you're in the car. The number is 612-417-0992. and explore the possibilities. And in our next segment, we're going to talk about exploring the possibilities not only for your home, but what other things are you able to do in our COVID, moving into the COVID past, and hopefully being able to keep opening up more and more things to do. Jean will share, Sunny Jean will share with us about her love of tango and the love of art in living, and tango is all part of that design for our living. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. After just a few short commercials, we'll be back here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I'm Laurie Fitz, and today we're talking about the art of living. We're looking at design in our home. What other design do we want for our life? With COVID being COVID this last couple of years, we've been stuck in our home. We don't do much except look at the things that we want to have changed, as well as thinking about what other things do we want to do. Hopefully, through all of this, we'll be inspired to do something more, that we'll learn that we don't always have the choices that we think we should or could have. And when COVID hit, we had to restrict the things that we did. It was a difficult time. But now as it's starting to open up, how can we open up things that we want to do in our life? But let's first talk a little bit about Nilles Builders and Sunny Mueller, who is a design project manager. Do you just want to share any other thoughts that you have on reaching out about if folks have an idea of what they want to do, what sort of things should they prepare in thinking about to share with you in terms of what changes they want to make? What are the things that you want to learn as a design project manager that help you help them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Absolutely. The one thing that really helps me is pictures. Oh my gosh. If they have pictures, or say they take me into a room and they have a favorite rug or their furniture, anything visual that I can get a feel for how they like to live and
what's important to them. What?
Yeah, the things that really make them happy. Absolutely.
What sort of things have you seen that sort of it gave you the aha moment of what would be good for a design?
Oh, my goodness. Let's see. One thing in particular was I had some homeowners who were remodeling their basement and putting in a nice, cozy area with a gas fireplace and built-in shelving and a little bar area. And the gal, she had some pictures, I believe, of the furniture that they were purchasing that they were planning on. She had samples of favorite colors and trying to figure out what she would like to have on the wall. And it gave me a really good feel for what styling to provide them and what suggestions to make for their bar area, how to, because, you know, it could go 100 million different ways.
Sure. Sure.
And it sometimes it starts with the lighting, and I had noticed that this couple really liked cozy atmospheres, and they were already planning to have this gas fireplace. So I wanted to make sure that the lighting set the tone, and since it was in the basement, I got really excited because I realized that lighting-wise, there was an opportunity there. And the opportunity was in the ceiling. And you wouldn't think about this as normally people don't think about the ceiling as an opportunity or something special. But in that case, I thought, wouldn't this be lovely if they had a wood ceiling and it was a high gloss warm white to reflect light throughout the whole area, and to have that ceiling all finished in wood, just make it more cozy. And lighting-wise, when they wanted to have bright light, they could turn the light up and play games down there and invite their friends and have a good time, have parties. But then also when they wanted to have movie night, they could turn the lights down low and have this very nice, cozy, romantic, and very tasteful space. Usually in the basement, you look up at the ceiling and you say, okay, let's not look up there.
Exactly. But, when you're talking about it, I'm envisioning your past work in design for print, and you created a stage set. And when you're talking about this, I'm thinking she's creating a little box theater. She's got lighting for her little box theater, and she can have different little storylines for the family based on her little box theater. Are you going to entertain? Well, you turn it on to this light, and you have this lighting in here. But if you're going to be just hanging out and watching a movie, you have it on. So your mood lighting is really a little black box theater you've created in their basement, which I just love. It's just great. Again, it ties into that whole design for living. And when you bring up, whether it's games that they want to play or, watching a movie, it's all about, how do you support what they want to do? And I know what you love doing is tango. And you create opportunities for yourself to express yourself, not only through doing designs for others, but you explore art of living through your tango. And I'd love to have you share, why you love tango. And I know it sounds crazy. Why are we mixing design for living in terms of designing home and tango? But it really is who you are. I mean, you are a tango dancer and you are a designer. So tell us about how, not only why you love it, but how it influences you and what it does for you in your designing of your own life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, dance itself is such a warm expression for me. I have to say that dancing tango is also part of the art of, for me, I'd say living comfortably. So tango is a very cuddly dance. It's a very warm dance. When I go out with my friends to dance, we greet each other, and there's a lot of hugging and kissing. I just love that. So the social aspect, the warmth of it is so energizing for me. And there is a part of that is also very design-oriented. The part where we dress up. We women, come on now. We women, we love our shoes, we love our dresses, and any chance that I get to dress up and put on some really awesome high-heeled shoes, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that. So tango gives me that. Tango gives me that opportunity to recreate myself on the dance floor and express myself. Some dances are a little bit more formal, but with Argentine tango, there is this overall lifestyle involved. With Argentine tango, you get the culture of it, which is just amazing. You get the music. And then to top it all off, you get to dance.
Yes.
So, I mean, there isn't much more that I can say about a dance than being able to have those three aspects normally, with dance, you just learn some dance steps and, that's it. But with Argentine tango, there's so much more. And
it becomes a story. And that's whether you're doing design for someone's home and that story, or whether you're on the dance floor, there is a magical story. How was it when you were not able to do the tango, and how has it been getting back into tango now that some of the COVID restrictions are lifted?
Oh yeah, during COVID, that was tough. There was no dancing. You could dance in your kitchen by yourself. Mm-hmm. Or if you were married, you could dance with your partner, but there was no, it was, and it still is a delicate issue to be careful. And when we go out dancing now, of course, we all need to be vaccinated, so that's really important. But during COVID, there was no dancing. And for those of us who that's our lifestyle, people who like to move a lot.
Yes.
Well, oh my gosh, very tough. We a lot of us took online and Zoom classes so that we could see our friends and chat before and after class. So we still have that connection, but, it's just not the same as being out with all your friends.
So what are you doing now? Where do you go, and how does your days differ now that COVID is getting behind? What sort of dancing do you do? Are you going to go out on Friday nights? Is that the night that you go out and party with your friends?
Yeah, there are many nights of the week. For tango dancers, there are a lot of opportunities. There are places called practicas where people all get together and we practice our dancing. And so there are practicas, 2 or 3 different practica locations, and people during the week will go. There are also classes during the week, during the work week, and then on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, there's dancing socially, going to what we call milongas, which are formal Argentine tango dances.
And if folks wanted to learn how to dance, you had suggested to me Four Seasons was a good place for folks to learn?
Absolutely. Four Seasons Studio in the Laurie area is a fabulous place to go. It's where we hold a lot of milongas, too. So a lot of our dances are held at Four Seasons. And connecting with people is probably my favorite place to go. Yeah.
Well, with that, we'll finish up this segment, and in our last segment, we'll share a little bit more about looking at design in living, art of living, and things to think about for the week in terms of what kind of art do you want to bring into your life? How do you want to design your life? How do you want to design your home? Do you want to design work that you do that's outside of maybe your traditional work, and you want to explore dance or art or music? And we'll share more about that in the next segment. So stay with us. You're on Connections Radio here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we've been talking about our lives and designing them, whether it's designing our homes or designing cool things to do, like dancing the tango. And we have Sunny Mueller, who is a design project manager for Nilles Builders, and she's also an amazing tango dancer. So welcome, Sunny. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
So getting back to the builders for just a short wrap up here, if folks say, I really do want to make an addition or I'd like to make some changes. I don't know how to do it, but maybe I can have someone help me and figure out what sort of changes could be made and how I can redesign my home to be more comfortable, to support the way I want to live. If they give Nilles Builders a call or look them up on the website, which is NILLES Builders.com, that's NillesBuilders.com, we're really looking at this point for next spring doing any construction, right?
That's right. We are so booked, and it is crazy. Usually in the spring, we get a lot of calls from people, and it's already too late.
Sure.
Because we've already been planning through the winter for things. So if you are thinking about doing a remodel or a renovation, well, plan ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And things to think about of this winter, and when should they call? Should they call this fall, or this summer for next year? Is this too early to call, or when's a good time to call?
No, it's not too early. In fact, now is a great time to call and have somebody come out. Brad Nilles, the owner, he can come out. He can have a chat. He can advise on a project. And if you start thinking about it now, then you have enough time and get everything planned and organized so that by next spring, that project can happen.
And one more quick thing I want you to share with folks about the cool tango that they can do in Dinkytown. And we only have about a little under 2 minutes, but go for it. Tell us about Gray's Restaurant in Dinkytown.
Okay. So Rogue Tango generally plays at Gray's Restaurant in Dinkytown, and it used to be called the Laurie Pasta Bar. But you can go there and have a lovely meal, hear the music, and watch all the tango dancers.
Now, is there some sort of exercise where they learn how to dance, or is this just of you dancing? If you're gutsy and you want to try and get out there and dance, go for it. But really, it's just as much fun watching the people dance. Yeah. So. Well, terrific. Well, Sunny, thank you so much for just being with us today and sharing about your journey to become a design project manager for Nilles Builders, giving us some insights to think about as we want to make changes in our home, and also inspire us to think about, go out and see a tango dance. See if that's something that you'd like to go to Gray's Restaurant on Sunday afternoon. There's live music, live dancers. And then if you think that might be something you want to try, go to Four Seasons, look it up, and take some classes. But if it's not dancing, paint, take some acting classes, do something fun. Start designing your life for the way you want to live. And Sunny, thanks for being an inspiration for us to be thinking about that.
Thank you.
Have a great week. We look forward to having you back on Connections Radio next Saturday.